Here, in the electronics malls of Huaqiangbei in downtown Shenzhen, beats the heart of the Chinese handset industry. Thousands of small workshops offer everything from straight knockoffs of branded handsets to devices with quirky features, such as super large speakers, flashlights, or special keypads for children. These white label handset makers have dealt a deadly blow to mass market brands such as Nokia. Last year, they accounted for almost half of all handsets sold in China. But the market is changing. 3G has triggered a smartphone boom in China. For factories like this one, that means it's much harder to compete on price alone. For them, it's either moving up the value chain or going out of business.
We have been observing shrinking market share for the white label providers. In China, we estimated that their shipments reduced by about 7% in 2011 to about 186 million units. And that shipment is going to be further reduced by another 30% in this year. So I think this is going to be a very tough market for the white label providers.
A government crackdown on knockoff products and the enforcement of license regulations has seen small workshops closed down by the hundreds. But just as important is the fact that Chinese consumers are increasingly more picky, demanding brand name phones and top quality. Some second-tier Chinese handset makers are keeping up, mostly those who saw the changes coming and acted early. Yulong Computer Technology, which sells its phones under the brand name Coolpad, was one of those pioneers. The company first became famous when it pioneered handsets with 2 SIM cards, something Nokia and Motorola later felt compelled to follow in emerging markets. The company used that as a basis to build strong relationships with all 3 of China's mobile carriers. It now produces smartphones that are sold at a subsidized rate by the operators.
其实酷派从最早开始做手机，实际上对于整个公司而言，其实投入最大的还是在产品的研发这个方面。从最早酷派开始做手机包括定位在为中高端人群的服务，实际上还是基于对消费者的这样的一个特定的一个消费群的一个研究。
Until recently, it was difficult for the second-tier Chinese phone makers to enter the smartphone market. Qualcomm, the market leader for handset chips, demanded fees far higher than they could afford. But a new chip from MediaTek, a Taiwanese rival, is driving prices down. Falling component prices also benefit the big brands, narrowing the price advantage a Chinese second-tier phone can claim. What adds to the problem is that in the smartphone world, it is not quirky features such as flashing lights or cameras that attract consumers, but apps. And in this market segment, the second-tier handset companies are up against powerful rivals. Huawei, the large Chinese telecom equipment maker, has started spending big to build a consumer handset brand. For those that can't or don't want to compete in this league, exports could be a saving grace. SOP Group, a second-tier Chinese handset manufacturer that now also makes smartphones, ships about a third of the 300,000 phones it makes a month abroad.
主要的一个市场就是在像东南亚这边的印尼，南亚这边像这个印度孟加拉，以及非洲，这3大块主要的市场，它跟国内去年已经开始兴起的这种 smartphone 的这种热潮是不太一样，所以就刚才我跟你讲的一样，就是我们认为在未来的2年以内，应该像 future phone， 在我们面临的这些主要的出口市场，它还是主流。
Those handset makers that survive the current shakeout could have a bright future. Once smartphones become a commodity, just like other handsets have, Chinese companies are likely to make them more cheaply and faster than anyone else. Catherine Hiller, Financial Times, Shenzhen.